In this tutorial I'm going to show you how to join together two yarns using the Russian join method. This is a really simple way if you are wanting to change colours or if you want to add a new skein of yarn to your project because you're coming to the end of one, and it's a really secure way of joining two different skeins together. So today I'm going to use two super chunky yarns just to make it easier for you to see on camera. As I said before, you might be using the same colour all the way through your project, therefore you would have two colours together, but I wanted to show you how they work by using two contrasting colours. So I have two colours here. I also have a yarn needle. This is my one for using with super chunky yarn. It has one of these nylon loops on the end, but equally you can use a normal sized yarn needle for doing this with DK or Aran weight yarns. You will also need a pair of scissors to snip off the excess yarn once you've made your Russian join. So let's have a look at what we need to do. So we have our two yarns. These are our two working skeins, and we've got the ends of those yarns. What we're going to do is to take one and cross over the other one, and then bring the first one back over so you've looped them together. Now we want to have a fair amount here because this is the yarn that we're going to be weaving through the working yarn, so you don't want to do this with a little tail. So make sure if you are changing to a new ball of the same colour that you've got plenty left to do this exercise with. So we're going to start off by using our yarn needle and threading the first colour through, making sure it's looped to the second colour and pulling through a few inches of yarn. Then we want to decide where we're going to start. So I'm going to start here and I'm going to work underneath the yarn's strands. So if you untwist your yarn slightly, you'll see that there are different strands. This one has 4. You may have more or less depending on the yarn that you're using. And we're just threading through the ones that you can see on the top. So try not to twist too much when you're doing this. Now if you prefer, you can untwist completely and do it, but I find it easier to do it this way. And you're just bunching up all the yarn on top of your needle. So work through till you've got a fair amount on your yarn needle. Holding on to the bunch, we're just going to pull through this tail, through the skein, and it might be a little tricky at first, but once it gets going, it should come through okay. And you might want to just pull through that yarn there and leave the bunch there. We're now going to swap sides, so I'm just going to swap these over. And we're now going to work the cream yarn in exactly the same way. So I'm going to thread my yarn needle, making sure I have sufficient. And then I'm going to thread my yarn needle through the working yarn, just as I did with the red. All the way down, bunching it up onto your yarn needle. And you want to try and make sure they're roughly the same size. And then holding on to the bunched yarn, gently pull through that tail and work it all the way through. And then put our yarn needle aside, and that's what we should have. So we have our 2 tails here, our bunched up yarn and our working yarn, which is attached to the skeins. So taking the working yarn, so you might want to move your tails out of the way, taking the working yarn, just pull gently, and that tail will get shorter because it's disappearing now inside of the yarn. And just run your fingers along, make sure there's no bumps there. Then taking your scissors, you can cut off those extra bits. And there you have your join. And if you pull quite tightly on that, you'll notice that that's not going anywhere. So that is how to do the Russian join. Now what you will find is that your join is obviously going to be bigger or thicker than your working yarn. But when that's pulled and worked, it's not quite so obvious, and it's certainly less obvious than having a big bulky knot in the middle of your work, which you would get particularly with working with chunky yarns. You just end up with a big knot here, and that would be really, really obvious. Whereas here, that's just a nice simple knot. So I really hope you've enjoyed this tutorial. If you have, please give it a thumbs up. It really does help YouTube to show it to other crocheters. If you haven't subscribed already, please do. It is free to do so, and you can unsubscribe at any time you like if you find that the channel isn't for you. In the descriptions below, I shall pop some links to other videos that you might enjoy, and also a link to my Etsy and my Shopify shop, and shopping through those shops will help to keep this channel going for as long as possible. I shall pop 2 more videos on the side of the screen over here to help you on your crochet journey, and I shall see you over there. You can also subscribe by hitting my face, which is around here somewhere, and I will see you in the next video. Thank you so much for joining me. Happy hooking!